Welcome to True Crime Discoveries. Be sure to like and subscribe for future videos. But before we begin this episode, let us first send our condolences to the families of the victims and many other people that have been impacted by this crime. This true crime discovery today took place in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, in a town that is approximately 11 miles from Detroit, Michigan. Dearborn Heights has a crime rate of 18% below the national average, yet the crime discovered today is unfathomable. Today's discovery will make you wonder, is history doomed to repeat itself? On September 21st, 2016, Gregory Green called 911 to report that he had just committed murder. His then wife, Faith, was discovered bound to a chair with zip ties and tape in the basement of their Dearborn Heights home. Gregory had awoken Faith in the night, and he forced her and her two oldest children to the basement. She was shot in the foot and slashed with a knife across her face. She was then forced to watch as Gregory shot her two oldest children to death, Chadney Allen Jr., age 19, and Kara Allen, age 17. It was later determined that he had also murdered his younger children, Coy Green, who was 5 years old at the time, and Kaylee Green, who was 4. He placed them in his car and covered the exhaust pipe so that they would be consumed by carbon monoxide poisoning. And after that, he carried them inside the home and put their bodies in their beds. This was a quadruple homicide that included the two stepchildren and his own little babies. And if you think this case can't get any worse, just stick around until the end. In 1991, 8 years before the quadruple homicide of the 4 innocent children, Gregory Green had murdered his first wife of 2 years, Tanya Clayton Green. She was reportedly 6 months pregnant with his child and was in the process of separating from him. He had stabbed her multiple times with a knife from their shared home. He stabbed her in the face and chest before stashing the knife in the refrigerator and calling 911, and then waiting to be apprehended. He reportedly stated, "I stabbed her. She's in the kitchen." And her 2 older children from a previous relationship were also in the home at the time of the murder. It was revealed that Tanya Clayton Green told her friend named Marilyn Scales that she would pack her bags and leave him after she returned from church, but she was unable to escape. As we know now, he murdered her. Gregory Green was sentenced to 15 to 25 years for the brutal killing of the mother and her unborn child. During his 16-year prison sentence, he attempted to get paroled numerous times, but was denied due to his inability to express remorse for his crime. On the 5th attempt, he was granted parole 8 years before he would murder for a second time. In his pursuit of freedom, he elicited the help of Fred Harris, a reported pastor of the Church of the Risen Christ Ministries International in Detroit, who was also a civil rights activist. Fred Harris eventually became Gregory Green's father-in-law. And yes, you heard that correctly. Fred Harris assisted Gregory Green in receiving parole for the murder of his first wife and unborn child, only for him to marry Mr. Harris's daughter and attempt to murder her. We know now that he succeeded in killing her 4 children, the grandchildren of Fred Harris. Fred Harris had allegedly wrote multiple letters to the parole board pleading for Gregory Green to be released. In August 2005, he wrote, "Gregory and I were friends before his mishap. I feel he has paid for his unfortunate lack of self-control and is sorry. He recognized that Gregory's remorse was not enough. However, he continued, "This will not restore the lives that were taken. He will carry that with him for the rest of his life." He later wrote, "If Gregory was to be released, he would be welcomed as a part of our church community, and whatever we can do to help him adjust, we would." According to Faith Green, the mother of the slain children, she met Gregory at her father's church at the age of 14. She later saw him again in her 30s, and 2 years after his release from prison, on December 18th, 2010, Faith and Gregory were married. But just 3 years later, Faith would be filing for divorce. Her attempt at getting a personal protection order in February 2013 was denied. The relationship was so bad that she attempted to leave him many times, filing for divorce in October 2013, 2014, and again in August 2016. Her children would be murdered a month later after that final divorce filing. After news broke that Gregory Green was a reoffending convicted murderer, it was discovered that the judge who had denied the personal protection order in 2013, Deborah Ross Adams, that she had been removed from office following her misconduct with her divorce case. There was no indication that the judge was aware that Gregory had previously been convicted of murdering his first wife and unborn child. However, Faith Green had alluded to being fearful of her husband, stating that she planned to file a report after leaving work. She was afraid that she would lose access to her home before she acquired her belongings. Unfortunately, at the time, there was no automatic background check procedure before a personal protection order was to be approved or denied. The family hosted a vigil for the children whose lives were ended unexpectedly. Many people paid their respects, including a pastor from a church in the surrounding community who was quoted as saying, "This is the greatest tragedy we've had in the city. We're a broken community." The family was forced to create a GoFundMe account to provide a proper burial for the children who still had so much life to live. The page, which was created by Faith's sister, Nikki Harris, reads, "Words cannot describe the horrific tragedy our family is experiencing over the untimely deaths of Chadney, Kara, Coy, and Kaylee. There is no way that a mother could fathom laying to rest one child, let alone all four of her children at once without life insurance. We have set up this fund to assist with burial coverage on my sister's behalf." She later provided an update that the funds alleviated the stress of the situation because they raised enough money for funeral arrangements in addition to medical insurance and therapy costs that Faith will need. Faith's ex-husband, Chadney Sr., spoke to the news regarding their children.
"I'm wondering, did she know about it? How could she not know about it and be involved with someone like that? She had 2 kids with the guy."
Chadney wonders about how Green ended up on parole, and it turns out that he was convicted so long ago that it was during the time that you could get good time earned behind bars for good behavior. And so whether the parole board had allowed him out in 2008, which it did after 4 attempts at parole, he would have gotten out by 2012 anyway, based on the way the situation was set up back then.
On February 15, 2017, Gregory Green pled guilty to the quadruple homicide of his 2 stepchildren and his biological daughters. He stated, "It's in God's hands. Only He can judge me. I'm sorry this happened. God knows my heart. He knows how regretful, how sorry I am. It is not one day that goes by that I don't think of my girls. I pray that God be with Chadney and Kara. I feel bad how this has deeply impacted everyone. May God help them, help me, help us all." Now, Faith spoke during her victim impact statement.
"I'm empty, lost, I'm lost, not really knowing what to do with myself, just existing day to day. I miss my children so much that words will never be able to explain. All I ever wanted to be was a mother, a wife, have a happy family, raise my children to be productive members of society, and be happy. The reality I face now is this will never happen for me. Time will never heal this wound. I will always be empty. A part of me will always be missing. If the day ever comes when I do wake up and it's not the first thing that I think about, when I look in the mirror, I will always be reminded by the scars he put on my face, cutting me from my ears to my chin with a razor blade box cutter. The pain on the left side of my face never goes away. He cut me so deep that it severed multiple nerves that may never heal correctly. I lost so much blood. I was in critical condition for days. I should have died. Some days I wish I would have. He has scarred me for life. My whole family is devastated emotionally by what has happened.
The judge lamented Gregory's crime by saying, "Fathers are supposed to protect their children. Husbands are supposed to protect their wives. Your actions are inconceivable." Gregory Green will serve 47 to 102 years in prison for the quadruple homicide. He is ineligible for parole until age 97. Recently, Faith has spoken out since it has been 6 years since her children were taken from her in the most brutal way. She has made strides to heal by writing a book titled "The Monster Who Killed His Family Twice." And she now passes the time by volunteering for women who are in similar situations. Let me know in the comments if you think history is doomed to repeat itself. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe to True Crime Discoveries.